Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about anime, and I normally don't do that, but it's because I recently watched 3 anime shows and I want to talk about them. But first, I want to talk about my experience with anime, and I've talked about some of these before, but I haven't talked about some other ones, so I want to do that. So first, I watched Studio Ghibli and mainly the dubs growing up. Well, not mainly, I watched only the dubs growing up. So that was my first experience with anime. The most recent Studio Ghibli movie I watched was Princess Mononoke because, it has a lot of gore. But I grew up with things like Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle. Yes, I know it's a little bit dark, but I watched it at a pretty young age. And then there was also Ponyo, of course. But I watched all 4 of those movies and Princess Mononoke later on growing up, and I find all those movies amazing. And I have a huge nostalgia factor to them, so maybe that's blinding me by saying this, but I'm going to say they're some of the best movies ever made, in my opinion. Amazing, amazing, amazing movies. But then I started getting a little bit more into anime. Not a whole lot more, but I watched stuff like Fairy Tail, which was probably, I'm pretty sure, was my first anime. I watched like full-on anime, Japanese and everything, no dub or anything like that. And yes, I know it's kind of it's kind of an embarrassing first anime, but I didn't really get through that many seasons. I got through like 2, and then I stopped, like about halfway through the 3rd one, I think. And I also watched Naruto for a little bit, and I stopped. I didn't get through any animes fully until a year ago, where I watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure throughout the entire thing, all 4 seasons, and I liked it a fucking lot. And if I were to rank them, if I were to rank the seasons, it's going to be very controversial, and a lot of JoJo fans are going to get mad at me. 2nd season is all the way at number 1. 3rd season going all the way at the bottom. And the 4th season going at 2nd, and 1st is going at 3rd. But yeah, that's my ranking. But every single season is pretty good. But now I want to talk about anime that I've watched recently. I know it took me a while to get to it, but the first one I did just going back into anime. The first one I watched is what I mean is Neon Genesis Evangelion, which, just thinking about that now, probably wasn't the best anime going back into it, especially after a year-long break of anime. I just went back into it, guns blazing, just watching all of those episodes back to back to back. I was just going through them, and I wasn't really taking a whole lot of breaks. I was just oh my gosh, I watched it way too fast. But even then, I still took in most of the details, and I loved this show. I loved it. The story was great. I do have a few flaws with it. One, there's too much cleavage. I just felt kind of uncomfortable after a while because they just kept showing cleavage. Not like the full, big boobies, not like full cleavage or anything like that, but still like too much cleavage for me. And then there's like the recaps, which I think they harped on for a little bit too long. And in one of the episodes, which is what I'm mainly talking about, they basically went over all the angels or the more important ones again for 10 minutes. I think that was a little bit too long. They could have just, trimmed that down a little bit. But rather than that, I really don't have a whole lot of flaws with it. I really liked the story. I really liked how complex and like trippy it was. And I just love the soundtrack as well. It just really had a great building of tension. Those like piano pieces, or like the piano, the main like piano, like the high-pitched ones. I can't talk. I never can. But yeah, those are great. But now I want to talk about the second one I watched, which was Chainsaw Man. Oh boy. If I were to rank the 3 ones I watched, the next one I'm going to be talking about going at number 1. Neon Genesis is going at number 2, but Chainsaw Man's going at 3. But the reason why is because it's building up to season 2. But even then, Chainsaw Man is still great. First season is still amazing. It's very over the top, very nice, very just relatable anime to watch as well. Very easy to follow along with. Just a very nice anime. amazing anime. I just love how funny it is. It's very self-aware. It's not. It's just very goofy. It's not taking itself seriously at all. I mean, hell, the fucking main character can turn into a fucking chainsaw and just tear people to shreds. It's extremely over the top, gory. That's what I like about it. It's funny. It's great. It's gory. It's amazing. It's a lot of the things I love about action just rolled into one. And season 2 is probably going to be a lot better, and I'm hoping it is. But yeah, Chainsaw Man's great. But now I want to talk about the one I watched very recently, like just a day ago. I took some more breaks with this one. I didn't watch it back to back like with the other two. And yes, I got through Chainsaw Man as well without taking a lot of breaks, just back to back to back, just going through episodes in like one day. But now I want to talk about the one at the top of my list, as I said, which is Steins Gate. I know you probably didn't expect that because I watched two other actions like animes because I wasn't expecting as well. I like action more than like a bunch of like drama or like romance or stuff like that. I love this show to death. This was one of the most emotional things I've ever watched. Ever. This was one of the few times where I actually cried. And not only that, I cried twice. I wasn't like sobbing or anything, but I definitely did tear up at some moments. It was extremely emotional, and the story, oh my god, this story was amazing. The story is probably the best part, and the way the characters just gel together so easily. It just the chemistry everyone has, and just how every character builds up, how the story is still pretty easy to follow. It's just so good. It's so good. If you haven't watched any anime, if you haven't watched like any anime, I would still recommend that show. And if I were to recommend any anime to watch, again, even if you haven't gotten an anime, watch Steins Gate. Amazing show from front to back, and is extremely entertaining while still not even being like an action show or anything. It's great. I love Steins Gate. I love all these shows that I watched recently, and they're all amazing. If you're wondering what the next anime shows I'm going to be getting into, I'm going to be getting into Mob Psycho 100 very soon, which is going to be very exciting because I heard that's also a great anime. And if you're wondering why I watched all these animes, because they are kind of different, especially Steins Gate from like the other two, it's because they're just very well known and they're pretty well reviewed. So I'm like, hell, fuck it, whatever, I'll watch it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. But fortunately, like every single one of these. And I'm sorry I kind of butchered my own words talking about, Neon Genesis Evangelion, especially at the end there. I'm just really having a hard time just staying unscripted and, just going off the top of my head, just going through the motions sometimes. But that's basically it. All these shows are great. As I said, if I were to recommend any, Steins Gate. Watch it. But and Studio Ghibli movies, and then Neon Genesis Evangelion if you want more trippy, psychedelic, weird shit, and just a pretty interesting, very complex story, go for Neon Genesis. It's great. It has a lot of emotional moments as well. I wouldn't say it's as emotional for me personally as Steins Gate, but it's still amazingly emotional and really got me close to tears at some point. At some points is what I mean, not at just one point. But that's going to be it, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.